Hey there, welcome back to Not Another Budget. I'm Nicole, and on this channel, I'm attempting to cash budget my way out of debt and navigate a rather sticky financial situation, which halfway through April, I am able to go ahead and do a midweek budgeting update and reconcile the first 2 weeks of April and give you an indication as to how things have been going. I did a car boot this morning. It was for me an all or nothing car boot, and as a result of that, I spent Friday and Saturday filling up the car, sorting out stuff, and completely lost track of time in terms of filming, which is why there was no video then. But we are now back on our regularly scheduled routines. Obviously, if you've been around here for a while and you've kind of been aware of what's going on, April has been yeah, it's been that. With May looking not much better, but we are forewarned, and therefore forewarned is forearmed. And there is the early lingerings of a plan still. That's all to be kind of discussed separately because I am knackered because I've been up since 4 a.m. today and it is 6 p.m. now, and for someone in my condition at the minute, that is not the best. So I want to run through this with you and let you know how the numbers are doing and then what next week looks like. So we are here. I've done the car boot and I've had a smiley face. I still have, as of Sunday, as of today, no news with regards to what could possibly happen in the house. I've spitballed a couple of options with friends and family in terms of, okay, if this doesn't happen, what do things look like there, what's the potential financial implications, etc., what possible solutions or not could there be. All of that at the minute is very much up in the air and kind of being held close to my chest until we have an outcome as to whether I get to stay in the property or not. And we're about to roll into the last 2.5 weeks of April. So where are we from a financial perspective? Now, the focus for week one, so we're reconciling week 1 of April and then this week just gone, which is ending today. And I'm closing out the week today. So the focus for week 1, obviously I had the car boot. I had a daily listings target. I wanted to cross list across multiple platforms. And then I had a £475 destashing / online target, which I didn't quite hit. However, tied into that was I didn't really cross list. So I've set up my eBay but have done nothing to my eBay, and I also didn't get to my £35 listings per day. Now, in terms of the actual finances themselves, I had a wage in terms of income of wages of £1,446.50. This we knew about, and a rollover of £108.93. And in terms of what I brought in extra, between vintage / destashing generally, it was £291.40, and then other, which is the car boot, is £92. So I had a total of £1,938.83, which is a bit closer to my standard monthly wage. Now, I was unsure about how I was going to track this throughout my budget, so what I've ultimately decided to do, although I want to keep the £600 aside, it is in terms of the rollovers and the numbers that you see, but it is not to be used. So rather than just subtracting it, it's in there so I can keep track of how close we get to that or not, in terms of, do we need to use it, don't we need to use it, and what's going on. And I've actually been able to stretch out and space out my billing in terms of cash flow as well, in line with that, which has been super useful. So the bills that went out was the YouTube Premium, the Spotify, and my car tax. So that was a total of £41.64, as long as my water is paid by the end of the month. Google Storage comes out in week 2, and the rent was £600 to set aside. That's kind of floating in my budget at the minute. So I rolled over £1,897.19. And in terms of money spent throughout the week, it's not awful. I have had some heavier weeks, but there were a few things which I could do with not popping up. So fuel was £47.93 and food was £158.50. I tend to do a very, very large bulk buy of food at the start of the month and then top up with fresh bits or specific items throughout the weeks. I would say that my food costs are going to increase because I am having a healthier eating push as a must linked to my current health. It's something that I'm trying to do to help things from my end alongside kind of medical intervention as well. And that's not ideal, and costs everywhere are just horrendous. So it feels a bit silly because I always fell into the camp of, if you're a single person, then £30 to £40 a week, even if you're eating healthy, it used to be more than enough, and that is now not the case at all. And I don't really know where it's going to sit and settle, so we will have to see. Household goods, this is cleaning products, toiletries, etc., was £7.50 of the 30. I do have some more that I need to get, but I've managed to hold off until this starting third week. And then Bowie's vet's appointment, I budgeted 100 and spent £166.16. I haven't yet done anything with his meds. I'm trying to stretch out his meds, and I have gone ahead and asked for a written prescription, which I need to follow up on. The written prescription itself is £20, but then I should be able to purchase his overall medication for cheaper. Now, the £120 is just for his thyroid, so that's just for one of 3. His heart medication normally comes to about 80, so there's about £200 that does still need to be paid out within my budget by the end of April for his medication, unless I can get it cheaper elsewhere. Cat food was £10, spending was £17.50, and I tend to weight my personal spending. It's normally about £20 to £25 a week, and I try to allocate myself that, even if things are really tough, because I am a spender, and I'm a spender where when things are tough, it's really good to it's not good, that's the wrong word. You feel, or can feel, if you're someone like me, that actually you need that dopamine boost and that bit of kind of emotional validation that spending can give you, especially when things are really, really difficult, because it's that false hit of everything's going to be okay because you can still, quote unquote, afford to spend. As a result of that, I've typically weighted my personal spending more in the first week of the month, so I'll tend to buy and do a lot of spending then, and then much less throughout the month, and it's kind of like getting that out of the way. So £17.50 on a personal spending is very, very cheap for me. There's a little bit more done this week, but that was reflective of kind of end of week stuff. So overall, it was £470.59 spent. Obviously, that's going to be spread out a little bit more throughout the weeks. There is still £200 to spend there, and a rollover of £1,304.78. Now, I did talk about the fact I had a debt settlement offer, which was £75.86, and another smaller debt, which popped up and is very, very, very aggressive. I have put them at the minute on the minimum payment plan that I can get away with until I can kind of open up a line of communication. It's one that I've had floating around for a while, and they have hopped through different kind of debt agencies and debt collection agencies without really any progress being made on them, because I've not been in a position to make progress. And they have landed on someone who's just very kind of, at the minute, I can't deal with the phone calls and the letters, so just have something nominal, and then we'll have a reasonable discussion and a phone call when this mess is sorted. But at the minute, it's £17.36 a month. It will not stay that. But sometimes it's a needs must. So I'm rolling in, so £93.22 was spent on debt. Very much not a priority this quarter, as we're aware. And so I rolled over into week 2, £1,211.56. Now, my focus for this week was twofold: getting set up for the car boot at the latter half of this week, and I went all or nothing in, and then also getting things ready for the inspection. If I could go ahead and refine my Vinted listings as well, that would be great, because that determines kind of Vinted income for the 3rd and the 4th week. So I tend to operate on the basis that if I list something, it will take me about 2 weeks by the time it has sold to turn around and I see that income. It's just a bit under 2 weeks. So me not doing really any main focus on listings and selling this week could potentially have an impact by the 4th week of April. But I am one person, and there were 2 major things going on this week, and I'm not in the best of health. So it was balancing that. It's something I'm aware of, and it's something I will have to jump on from tomorrow, even though I feel really knackered and horrible. In terms of my income, now I mentioned that it was an all or nothing car boot today, and wow, £422.18 was my profit. Floating around external to this budget is a just under £50 float, which is a mixture of change and notes. That at some point will come into my budget as part of my car boot earnings, and that will be when I kind of take a break from doing car boots. So there is an additional £50 floating around outside. It is the float for a car boot, but at the minute that's not profit. That's what is needed to kind of make sure I can give people change. None of my big ticket items sold, which I thought they might do. So this was achieved purely through 50p's and £5 and £1 items. And I filled the car completely to the brim, and the car is still filled to the brim. So I had a lot. I Tetrised my car. It was a little bit of a TARDIS, and it was, yeah, really, 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 really good. And between that, and that was all cash, so I've been able to pay that into my account. I literally found the first pay point that I could pay money into on my card and got that in because I had pending in there, obviously the rollover. Vinted, and with Vinted it's money that has cleared into my bank account, not money which is sitting in a pending balance ready to go. I don't count it as money into me until I have physically received it and I could go to a cash point and withdraw it fine. So that was £263.80. I do have about 164-ish, I think, pending in there as well. But I do know a couple of the parcels are potentially lost, which means that there's about, I think, £20 of that. If they don't start moving through the shipping system soon, they're going to be classed as lost, and then I'll be waiting about another month for that money to be compensated to me. And then in terms of Ko-fi and other donations, it was £19.07 that cleared in. Ko-fi takes about 2 weeks to 10 days, and Buy Me a Coffee, any donations through Buy Me a Coffee I will get, they will actually arrive in my bank account now that I've kind of been validated and verified and they are happy that I'm a human and not a scammy robot. That will be in, I think, either next week or the week after. So I will see any Buy Me a Coffee donations. I will see them in April, but they're coming in towards the end of the month, which is not a problem at all, because things will still happen at the end of the month in terms of things that need to be sorted. And anyone that donated to my coffee in that first week, that started to come in on the Friday, and I will also have some more coming in next week as well. It meant that all in, my income then jumped up to £1,916.61, and I was able to pay the rent payment of £950. So I did it. I did it. Oh, yeah. How it came down to the day. Well, not quite the day, because the day itself is Thursday of this week. I did not want it to go to Thursday. I really didn't. I was like, please don't be that. No, that's not right at all. So let's have a look. How much did I do just in additional income that wasn't rolled over this week? And then what that looked like in terms of last week. Because I don't think I've taken... you can tell the brain is exiting the body right now, because normally I'm much better at adding up. I'm also not wearing my glasses, which was a bit of a mistake. Okay, so £705.05 is what I pulled in this week. And then last week, in terms of, I can do this straight away without needing the calculator. So 996, and then we've got the 92 as well. So across the 2 weeks, I've managed to pull in £1,088.45, and that is across Vinted, destashing, car boots. Destashing is like the odd, like, small Facebook marketplace sale as well, across car boots, which I am, like, once you break those numbers down, that's fantastic. I will say, sitting here at 6 p.m, every joint hurts. I need a massage or a chiropractor or an osteopath. I need someone to just, like, pummel my body. Oh God, I'm going to right. Ladies and gentlemen, behave yourselves and don't get spicy. I need someone to pummel my body and relax my muscles. That is all I am saying. Okay, and we can all have a chuckle over the possible double entendre that some of you spicy smart readers have. We're getting back on a sidetrack. Oh God, brain, come back. Right. Okay, so this is really this thrills me because it means that I've still been able to safeguard that £600 which I need to roll over. And we're going to talk about that in a second. So rent went out, Google storage of £2.49 went out, and contents insurance, which was something I was looking for an opportunity to bring into my budget if I could. I've actually been able to get this through my bank account, and £6.87 is the best price that I've been able to find. So I'm pleased that with everything that's going on, I'm able to bring that in, and the month itself starts to feel a little bit more now like a normal month. So a total of £959.36 spent, and a rollover of £957.25 spent into the actual month itself. Now my fuel was 15. That got me to back. So using that 15 has got me back down to half a tank of petrol. So at the minute, my rule of thumb is I will top up once I hit half a tank. I may not top up back to full, but I don't want to go below half because I may get not much notice and need to drive to the big city for the hospital, and that round trip could use near enough half a tank, and I don't want to put myself in a position where I don't have the fuel, I can't call on anyone to drive me, and I don't have the money really sitting there to do that. So I'm keeping it minimum at half, and that's going to try and be the case going forward as well. So there will be a fuel payment this coming week. Personal spending was £48.12 because hell yes. I did a bit more spending this afternoon. I was with a friend. I was tired. We had coffee. We had a mooch. It was nice. It was normal. It was a reward for hard work. And then the cat, and this is cat food, which I'm £10. So a total of £105.24 spent, and £852 and a penny to roll over. Now, 600 of that £852 and a penny I want to, this is that ring fenced amount that I want to roll over into May. That 600 is going to cover my anticipated shortfall for what I think my income is going to be down. That also means that the £252 that's remaining, given that I need to spend, I think, at the minute, 200 on cat meds, I still think that if we go back to, thank you, train, if we come back to here, this is where my brain is thinking. I've got £252, which is mine, which is rolling into this week. I know I've got, we're going to say £140 because there is that odd £20, which I think is going to take a while to get to me through Vinted. I've gone through and plotted where the rest of the car boots are because, like I said, I've still got a full car. And I don't know how that's happened, but I do. And it's properly packed. It's not quite properly packed. I could properly repack it. I've got the potential of doing a car boot on Wednesday. I have got the potential of doing a car boot on Easter Sunday and Easter Monday. And I also have the potential of doing a car boot on the 27th, the last Sunday in April. And that is the same one that I've done today because they don't do weekly. I'm hesitant to do one here because I may be returning back to work, fingers crossed, on the 28th. And I don't think it's wise, given how I'm feeling now, to put myself in this condition before I return to work. But I've made a note of it because it's there. What is also... So here's what I'm thinking. Ideally, because I have got cat medication to pay out for, I have still got car insurance and Wi-Fi and my mobile to pay for as the 3 flexible bills, plus energy, plus water. As long as those are paid by this week, that's fine, but it would be good for me to try and get certainly some of those paid this week. What I am thinking is that the 140 from Vintage, thank you, pause, calm, chill, thank you. What I am thinking is that if I take the £140, which should be clearing in from Vinted this week as a definite, because I don't think the rest of those parcels have gone missing, plus the 250 that I've got sitting in the account that is free for me to use, that 392 should should cover cat medication, if I can get it down cheaper, even better, plus those remaining bills, plus the petrol that I need to put in, plus any food costs, plus any cat food costs for this week. If I can get the car boot sale done on the Wednesday as well, plus any Vinted listings and sales this week. I say this, I have completely emptied my Vinted because I'm going to reset it, recalibrate it, because I took a load of stuff that was listed on Vinted as well to the car boot, and I need to make sure that I haven't double sold anything, but I need to go through and sort that out as well. That should cover everything else for the rest of the month and still give me that £600 to roll over. I want to, as much as possible, safeguard that 600. By the middle of this coming week, I will find out what is going on with the house. That will then determine what is going on with the £950 that I have got also, because I'm 1 month ahead on rent. So the target for May is to definitely generate an additional £250 in income over the month, and ideally get that up to 500 for the month as well. I will know if I can do that based on sales and things from the last of this week. So month 3, just to summarise, week 3 of April is get the rest of the cash in to make sure that I can definitely cover all of the medication that I need to cover, all of the final bills and stuff for the month. I've covered my short through full, and I'm potentially safeguarding and hopefully rolling over £600. It's £600 because, yes, I'm only down about 500. I don't know if my cat will need another vet visit, and that should cover that as well, based on the not great one we've had this month. So that's why I'm saying 600. I could drop it to 500, but I want to give myself about £100 contingency. Therefore, week 4.5 of April will be any money that I sell, anything that I sell at the car boot, anything that I sell off Vinted will all form hopefully part of a rollover that goes into May, and that will form part of that extra income as well. So that is where we are sitting in April so far. I ache. Every joint aches. I need to be pummeled. Kind of. And I'm going to treat myself to some chip shop chips. I know I'm being good. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm going to treat myself to some of those because I haven't got dinner sorted because I didn't get that far. So I'm going to have some chip shop chips as a little bit of a cheat and a treat. I've done a little bit of personal spending, but it's not been too horrendous. We are still on track to make sure that all of the bills are paid by the end of April, and the big one, which was the rent, is paid. The money was pulled in extra, and it was just under £1,100 across these 2 weeks, and I am feeling every single one of those. We now move to the second half of the month, where it is shoring up the rest of April and planning ahead and getting organised ready for May. I can't quite believe I've done this. I'm hurting well enough to know that I've done it, but I couldn't have done it with the amount of cheerleading that you guys have done. And obviously what I haven't taken into account is the fact that I know that I have got the Buy Me a Coffee and more coffee donations coming through. I never account for those in my budget until they arrive, and it's never something I factor into my monthly budgeting. It's a wonderful added extra. So all of that is fantastic. I'm not going to put the link to my Vinted down in the comments down into the description of this video, because at the minute it is completely empty. It will start to fill up again by Tuesday, and by that point I will have hopefully resumed going back to daily-ish videos. So that's down there. However, my Shopify is down below. I'm running a 15% off sale on everything and anything in there for those that are interested. I'd really like to kind of get back to using the savings challenges that I designed. Like, this is literally staring at me. And I want to do it, but not yet. And as per usual, for those that ask and insist, I see you. My coffee and my Buy Me a Coffee The links are down below, but your watching and your engagement and your liking and your commenting and subscribing is fantastic. And April's been a really good month for YouTube so far. So genuinely thank you. I will have a YouTube payment coming in here as well. I forgot about that as too. So the mountain that was April, we're not at the top. I've not fully ascended the mountain yet, but we're over quite a few horrible humps and hurdles. And the really big nasty one, which was the rental inspection and then the paying of the rent itself and maintaining that rollover or safeguard ring fencing that 600, is so far still on track. And for me, with my level of disorganization and focus, I'm going to give myself a massive pat on the back. Thank you to those of you who've been cheerleading me. Thank you to those of you who've been commenting, and a couple of you have left some really good questions and stuff like that. I'm going to collate all of that information because that's not what this video is for. The brain cells are hanging on by a thread and I'm surprised I'm still functioning, but there we go. I'm going to go and get myself some chip chop chips because yes, I am. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you are having a fantastic budgeting week, whatever that looks like for you, because I know for quite a few people, their financial world and their budgeting and their income and their security has been completely upended, and I really do get that. So I hope that whatever hurdles and mountains that you are facing currently, know that they are not insurmountable and you have got this. And if you're ever looking for support, come to the budgeting community, chill out in the comments. There are loads of us over here that will just surround you with advice and cheerleading, and it's a nice little corner of YouTube, and it's rare that we can say that. You've got this, I've got this. I'm going to see you very soon in the next one. Bye bye for now.